Come, let us prepare, make some good profits today. Market left us some clues right here. We will be talking about that in today's video. And do we have a 50-point day coming after this? Let's talk about that today. But before that intraday analysis, it's important you understand the algorithms at play here, and I will also show you some 5-figure trade setups from here. Now at 10:02, once we identify the bullish controlled algorithms in the teal and the orange, I told you have to wait for some buying continuation structure here, and for the teal and orange to start rebuilding liquidity for the bulls to take trade here. Exactly as where this pink 529 is, as you see, forming that beautiful inverse head and shoulder pattern here. Beautiful first trade of the day, as long as you were patient and waited for the algorithms to show itself right here. Beautiful trade. That's the same algorithms right at 11:35. Now this one is the blockbuster trade. Now I mentioned you have to wait for the orange algorithm to start rebuilding liquidity. And you see how beautiful we started basing off the 5-day moving average here, building liquidity on the breakout right there, where the blue 530 is. Beautiful trade if you managed to catch this, because you understood how to be looking out for the teal and the orange algorithm right there together with the 5-day moving average. I mentioned a few things here about how the orange algorithm, if in control, just shows that the bulls are building liquidity. And I want you to take a look at this trade here. Now, this trade was only less than 1 point on SPY, but it's possible for you to be making 5 figures just on a small move like that. Remember, I always mentioned 0.5 points to 1 point on SPY. It's more than enough for you to get your 5-figure trade. I made about 16,000 just on this trade here. You were patient and allowed the orange algorithm to reveal itself to you. If you missed that, so be it, because there was another trade here at 206. Once we retested that red 530, I mentioned wait for the same algorithm to start revealing itself to you. With the orange and the teal algorithm that started forming here, I mentioned that the bulls will have to dig a little deeper to 530 blue to build liquidity right there, as you can see. And once we break out, you could hold it to 531 as long as we were in that same buying continuation structure, which we were. So this would have been a very straightforward trade right here. I held this trade for about 1 point on SPY once again. And there you have it. Another $17,000 trade right there, just by holding about 1 point on SPY. That's all you need. 0.5 to 1 point. So it's very important you learn the right system and habits to start scaling. You don't need those 2 point, 3 point, 4 point home runs. You just need 0.5 points, 1 point on SPY. You can get your 5-figure trades, right? So that's all you need, right? 2 trades today, that's all you need. Now, members who did well today, you trained your eyes to be looking at the algorithms and you traded as structure demands. You didn't overtrade. You were trying to find profits in the chart. You saw how the orange algorithm was building liquidity, so you had to be patient. You waited. You remained focused for any confirmation, and you traded as structure demand. Very important, you do not overtrade. You allow the market to reveal itself to you before you assess your trades that you are to take. You are flip-flopping in between the liquidity zones. That's exactly what you are. You became liquidity. So do not overtrade. Some of you one and done. That's exactly what you need to do. And do not overtrade. So well done, member. Now where do we go from here? If you remembered yesterday's video, I mentioned how we have closed the cup with the double top, and I mentioned how the 5-day moving average could have formed that inverse head and shoulder pattern, and you see that inverse head and shoulder pattern started forming with a microstructure here of that magenta algorithm forming, and now we have formed that handle, and breaking out in that buying continuation structure. However, we have not broke out of that top here. So this is very important information you have to be paying attention to for tomorrow. Now, you need to see buying continuation structure to break us out of here. So if there is buying continuation, if bulls want to bring us to the new high again, you will want to see more liquidity being built. How was the liquidity built? With the magenta and the green algorithm. It's quite straightforward. So look forward for possibly magenta or green algorithm to rebuild liquidity, and we want to see the orange buying continuation structure being activated right there. So if you do not see orange algorithm bringing us out of this 531 yellow, there will be no continuation. You have to pay close attention to that. Now there is also a possibility that we start creeping up in this yellow algorithm here. You see how the yellow is also starting to buy up here, but this is lacking of strength to bring us out, squeezing us out of that high here. So if we do trade within this yellow, you have to be very careful. You want to be looking for the bulls building liquidity. That's what you want to see in order to activate this orange buying continuation structure. Because if we remain in this yellow, there is so much liquidity that we started building here at this red 530. Take a look. So much liquidity. And if we do not have clear buying continuation structure, this is what this blue algorithm that we identified today will happen. Head and shoulder pattern. Beautiful. So pay close attention. If the market rejects the top of the range with the lack of buying continuation structure, and we re-grab the liquidity from 530, red, bringing us further down again. Now, there are several tapering algorithms you have to pay close attention to, right? So if we do taper here, there may be some confirmation due to a lack of buying continuation structure. Note for the break of that yellow algorithm, and lastly, see if we do form and close the cup here, where the 5-day moving average will now turn into some sort of resistance to head down here. So once again, pay close to 5-day moving average. If this wants to head down, you need to see 5-day moving average turn into some sort of resistance. And for those that shorted today, that I've always been reminding you, do you see 5-day moving average forming any sort of resistance? So you cannot have a bias when you're entering onto the trading floor. Trade as structure demand. So pay close attention to that. There are several algorithms here you need to pay close attention to. And we have FOMC meeting minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So just pay close attention to that. The market will be in anticipation for some information within. So just keep in mind for possible volume spikes then as well. So it's quite straightforward. Remember to be finding profits in the chart. Thank you very much for watching. See you closer to opening bell.